What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kivox. This is Meekachii. I don't know what just happened there. I completely changed my intro.
Yeah.
It was different, right? Anyway, I don't know what we're doing. We're doing some sort of book thing today.
Wrap up.
Wrap up. We're doing a wrap up. And if you guys don't know, we have these guys made up so that we're going to vote. We're going to let you guys know where all of our books that we read. And by the way, these are our books. Oh.
So we participated in the Readathon, the Wizarding World or Wizarding Careers, whatever, Readathon, and you sort of succeeded in one.
Look,
so he had chosen Wandmaker naturally, but he didn't finish it, so then I had to scramble to find him a different career, and it took a lot of finesse and kind of cheating to get it to happen, but I found you another career. I did, however, manage to do my career, and toward the end, it really sucked because I picked like a book that I just did not want to read.
Well, no, you did want to read it, but then it ended up not being as good as you thought it was going to be. So, I mean, but that's a gamble, right? That you take with books. But then you had to finish it, otherwise you wouldn't be able to be a healer.
Yep.
And you were really dead set. I mean, my career ended up being, pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm okay.
You're going to say what you are?
No, we're going to save it.
So for the month of April, I read a total of 9 books. 2 of them are technically separate-ish, but I'm counting them as one because together they're 124 pages. So I read a total of 3,021 pages, which I think is like the most I've done in a long time.
That's a lot.
And,
do you know how much I read?
No, of course not.
Nobody loves me.
I always forget to check you.
You always forget about me?
Yeah.
Like, let's start off with this, which I started it.
All right. Well, that's a mixture of books. So we tried to read the Elantris.
This has plants on it.
Yeah, but you didn't finish that, so.
But I started it, and I DNF'd
that was my
because
plant
it
book.
was super boring. No, it wasn't boring. It's just like, the first 2 stories in here are Elantris based, which is what we read Elantris already. But what was weird about it is that, like, I just didn't feel any sort of connection to anything, because I was just like, it was like a side story about characters that you don't even know.
Yeah, well, it's essentially, so it's called The Emperor's Soul, and it brought like a completely different aspect of magic into the world, even though this is set in the same world as Elantris, and it's not in the same cities or area as Elantris.
So this is multiple books in this.
Yeah.
Or multiple short stories in this combined into one big story.
Yeah, so
not even a big story, just a book. One compendium.
Yes.
Could you call it a compendium? Is that what it's called? Does it say compendium?
It does not.
I'm calling it a compendium.
So essentially, The Emperor's Soul is not tied to Elantris in any way besides the fact that it's on the same world. So you can totally read it without reading Elantris, but I don't know if I would recommend that. I thought it was pretty good. I think that I was expecting more out of it than I got, and it was the longer of the 2 short stories, and I don't even know how to describe it. I don't think you really can describe it without spoiling it. It still had some good character development and some good like world building, even though it was a short story, but I didn't really appreciate the story until the end, and then I really kind of started getting into it. You just couldn't even finish it. You just didn't want to.
I didn't have time. All right, so I really didn't. Like I had a very limited time this month. I was able to read 4 books. That's a lot for me. Normally I read 1 or 2.
Well, plus it's even harder for you right now because you can't listen to it at work.
Yeah.
So that was The Emperor's Soul. The other one is The Hope of Elantris, which was kind of cool because it brought back some of the characters from Elantris, and it tells a little bit of a side story as to what happened in the city during a certain period of time. So when you're reading Elantris, you're not reading in this perspective, and he kind of gave you like an extra chapter in that perspective, which was neat. And it was still pretty good, but I didn't appreciate it until I actually read the after story, or like the afterword, whatever, that the author wrote explaining why he wrote that story.
The after credit scene.
Yeah, something like that. So once he explained why it meant something, I was like, oh man, that gave me some feels. So I appreciated it more than I had.
Okay.
So that was my plant one.
So wait, are you doing both of them right now?
Yeah.
Together?
Yeah.
So wait, so one of these is the regular one, the other one's the after story?
One of these, like, so this is the Emperor's Soul.
And then that's the after story.
That's, yeah.
Oh, okay.
The Hope of Elantris, you should read Elantris first.
I would imagine. So, if you guys don't know what this is, while she sticks it on here, we vote on all of the books that we've read. We print out little stickies, and we stick them on here. We have 1 to 5, and then we have the best of the best. These are like the better than 5s, which Elantris for you is one of them. You guys probably can't see that, but that's Elantris right there. And then let's see where we're putting.
Honestly, like, so I gave this a 3.5 while I was rating it, but I'm probably gonna bump it down to a 3. Oh, poopy. And then I just had to find random covers for these because I didn't want to put this cover on there twice.
On both, yeah.
That's like confusing.
That makes sense. And that one is called what?
The Hope of Elantris. So I think this is the same thing. Like, I originally gave it a 3.5, but it gets a 3. So then I had to read a book by 2 authors or multiple authors, and I chose, we're going to put it somewhere, Aurora Rising.
We don't have the physical copy of this?
No, it's not out yet.
Aurora Rising.
Tuesday it comes out.
I'll just put it right there.
By J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This is their second series that they're writing together, and I think I'm going to grade it down a little from what I originally did. It's definitely a little more silly than Illuminae Files, and it's a little more like, I think for a little bit of a younger audience, like, than Illuminae, because I feel like Illuminae could definitely be read as an adult series, even though it's not. It's technically YA because they're all younger, but it just felt like it had a lot more suspense and, like, just plot twists and all this stuff, and I just feel like this book had really cool ideas and really cool world building and some cool sciencey stuff in it, but it just didn't, like, hit me as much as the Illuminae Files. It's still good. I'm gonna continue reading it. I definitely liked it better than Lifelike. I was a little worried because Lifelike was the last YA thing that J. Kristoff had written, and I just did not like it. I definitely liked it better than that. I still feel like it's a little unrealistic because these characters are young and they act like they're in their 20s, but that's kind of like a trope that a ton of YA books seem to do lately that kind of drives me crazy. But it's really one of the biggest pet peeves I had about it. It was like, at some points I felt like they acted really young, and then other points I felt like they were way too old for them. Like, I didn't feel like there was a consistency with that.
It's a classic problem with writing young books.
It
or
really
young
is.
characters, even in TV and movies. That's what, like, so young adult I feel like is a lot easier to write than children. When people try to write children into stories, unless they are some sort of gifted children that have, like, ultra intelligence, I feel like they never write them properly. They write them like an adult, and it's just like, a kid wouldn't react like that.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's a little bit, it should be easier to write a teenager than a
I
is a
feel
teenager and a young adult is the same thing,
yeah,
right?
it's like usually I would say between the ages of like 15 and 18, which is like
It's
young
a
adult
very
to me.
small window.
Yeah, like, but they're usually right around that age, and I feel that this story, it just was very inconsistent in that, and that just kind of drew me out of it. Like, I kept thinking, there's no way that 17 and 18-year-old kids are figuring this stuff out that has been going on for hundreds of years, that it's just unrealistic.
It's like you said, it's a trope. It happens in anime, it happens in movies.
And I just had to kind of accept it for what it was and just go on. Besides that, the story is fine. It's nothing overly mind-blowing and crazy like Illuminae. Like, in my opinion, that series just blew my mind left and right as I was reading it. This was not like that. There were a couple of twists and turns that I was like, okay, but not as mind-blowing. It's still good. So I think it's definitely worth reading if you like their stuff and if you liked Illuminae, but just don't go into it thinking that it's anything like Illuminae, because it's totally not.
And it's not a sequel or anything. It's just a new venture.
It's going to be, I think, a trilogy.
No, I'm saying it's a new venture by them.
Oh, yeah,
it's a new story.
You don't have to read Illuminae.
Got it.
I do have a thingy.
Yeah, find the thingy.
Find the thingy.
All right, so
originally I gave it a 4, but I don't know if I would rate it like it's so difficult.
3.5? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, like a 3.5-ish, 4. I can't really decide whether it's a 3.5 or a 4.
I mean, just so you know, you can do 3.75.
True.
You can do it almost 4.
I think
as
that's
well.
what I would give it, is like a 3.75.
All right. Well, you gave it a 3.5.
Whatever.
Just letting you know.
Going back to Aurora Rising for a second. That word is really hard to say.
It is not Aurora. Aurora.
All right.
Aurora,
I'm just going to leave you
Aurora.
to say it then from now on. I definitely feel like it's one of those way overhyped books. Like, people have this, like, idea in their head
Preconceived notion
that it's going to be, like, this crazy epic. And it was good, but, oh my god, I think, like, it's starting to drive me crazy by all the 5-star reviews I'm starting to see, and I definitely think it's because of who it is. I love Jay Kristoff as an author. I love
You better
Illuminae.
put that thing at the end there. The subtitle. I love him as an author.
He's happily married.
Okay, so hopefully so are you.
And, I loved Illuminae, which is the only thing that I've read of Amy Kaufman's, but I definitely think it's overhyped. And, so go into it knowing that a little bit. I mean, maybe it will be a 5-star for you, but I just don't think it's a 5-star. I finished The Thief by Megan Whalen Turner. I definitely feel that this book is way overhyped. I was super crazy bored in the beginning, and then it had like a cool scene in the middle, and then it was really boring again, and it was really hard for me to finish Cat.
Finish Cat, huh?
Yeah. So it literally took me like 100 pages to get into this book. I don't understand the hype around this book, and this started putting
Question.
Yeah.
Is this the one that you couldn't finish, or you did finish, but you were having?
No, that's another one.
There's another one. Okay.
I didn't really want to finish this, but I kind of did. Like, it didn't suck enough where I didn't want to finish it, but I was just like kind of having trouble. It had one cool thing in it, and that was it, in my opinion. Meow. Ow. You have hands up for a chin.
What?
You have hands
Whoa!
for a chin.
Right there?
I really don't know what else to say about this. It's... My god, Osmond. I know. Why?
Are you done?
Are you stuck?
Are you done being annoying?
Stuck?
Oh, she's like, I want to lick your face.
No.
I want to lick your chin.
No, let's not lick.
I need to lick your chin.
Stop.
I need it.
So it's about a young boy that is, renowned for being an amazing thief, and he's brought on this journey for that, and I can't really tell you much more about it. The world building was there, like there was pretty decent world building, but it was boring world building, like it wasn't put in there in an interesting way. The characters are okay. I don't feel like there was any overly good character development.
I can't.
Character development, but I don't. Okay, why, Oswin? I feel like I grossly misjudged how to rate things this month, because I keep I'm looking at my rating and I'm like, really? Why?
Well, that's why sometimes you need a couple of minutes
To digest.
Yeah, just to see what you're actually gonna think.
Yeah,
And
because
not just go with your initial gut.
my initial gut was a 3, but I'm gonna say it's more like.
That's like a 2. No, it's more than a 2.5 or less. Line it up. Line it up properly. What is that? That's like a 2.25.
That's close enough.
I need to draw lines for you across, just so that you know where the two. I need to dot some lines across.
I lost my cat.
Oh no!
So
I'm gonna take lead on this one.
This was timeout. Did I say that this was my book that I had to read that was 10 years or older, written 10 years or more ago?
I probably
I don't
not,
know.
knowing you. You don't say anything. No. I'm gonna take lead because you've been talking this whole time.
Well, this is your plant book,
Stop it!
and this is my.
Stop yelling at me.
I forget.
This is your adult book.
No, is it? I don't know.
Maybe you should figure these things out before we hit record. The Final Empire, the first in the Mistborn trilogy / 6 trilogy. How do you say? Double trilogy.
I think you just call it a series at that point.
No, it's a double trilogy because it's a first trilogy and then a second trilogy, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not technically like directly connected, but they're in the same world. But
They're
one
directly connected, but not the same characters.
well, the second one takes place like 400 years
It's
later.
like later, yeah.
Like 400 years though. It's
I
not.
don't know when. I've never read it.
Maybe it's 200 years. I never read it either. We're gonna read it this year though. It'll be fun. Anyway, we read this a while ago, but we reread it for this past month's. What month was it? April. April's book club. So if you guys didn't go check that out and you guys did read this book, it'll be somewhere. Maybe we'll put it up there if we remember. Maybe we won't. I really like this book. Brandon Sanderson, my boy. I call him BS.
It is just another example of an extremely well thought out world and magic system, and just characters, and everything about this book is so good.
I'm a sucker for magic systems that are good. And I always bring this up. The Harry Potter magic system is trash, but the rest of the book itself, the rest of the story and the world is great. The system is trash, though. Do you agree?
No. It's supposed to be just
magic.
Like,
That's not a system, though. That's not a system. That's like saying, like, science is just supposed to be magic.
Just because she doesn't tell us about the system doesn't mean it's not there.
That's literally what that means. Like, that means it wasn't thought out. It doesn't make any sense. This magic system makes sense. 100%. There should be a penalty to using magic. There in Harry Potter there isn't. But anyway, this isn't about Harry Potter magic system. This is about how great this book was. Character development's great. The story's awesome.
You're following a girl named Vin who is basically a street urchin, but then I don't want to give it away, but she goes on like an adventure.
I would say she like meets a group of people that like kind of take her in, convince her to go on this adventure with them, and it's it's about an empire, and they
don't really go on an adventure because they don't really go anywhere, but stuff is happening and it gets intense.
They go somewhere. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
The whole thing in the beginning is about them going somewhere and something happens. It's an adventure though. Like they don't have to physically go somewhere to go on an adventure, right?
Yeah, I guess. That's why I said adventure originally. Anywho, if you haven't read any of Brandon Sanderson, it's totally cool.
This is a good start.
It's cool to start here. This is our start.
I mean, we've read other ones, but this was our first Brandon Sanderson book that we read several years ago.
So you have two options to choose from.
Oh, yeah,
I tried very hard to find a plant on any of these Mistborn covers, and it was darn near impossible. That's mine.
Oh.
Yours, you have two to choose from. Unless you didn't print both of them.
I did. They stuck together? Oh, there.
There you go.
So I have two covers. I'm going to go with this one.
Because that kind of looks like a plant to me.
I think there's a plant there. I don't know what that is. That looks like a giant bug or something.
To me, that looks like a vine.
It's a beetle. A vine made out of a tree?
This was me. Well, plant is a tree. A tree is a plant.
No, I know, but it's like a vine is like thin.
This is me like looking through pictures of Mistborn covers for 30 minutes trying to like cheat the system and find you one with like a plant on the cover that you could use for your... Are you going to talk about your thing yet?
What was my thing?
Magizoologist.
Oh, I guess I'm forced to now that you spoiled it.
You could cut it out.
Now that you spoiled it, yeah, I guess I had to default to Magizoologist because...
It's just a cool thing. I mean, your boy is a Magizoologist.
Who?
Newt Scamander.
Oh. I gave it a 5.
You're not going in your all-time faves?
I'm not like you, okay? It's a great book. It's a 5. I already read it, though.
True.
I feel like
it definitely took a lot of like the intrigue and
yeah, it didn't have the impact for this. Remember, this is for 2019.
All right,
this isn't like of all time.
I agree with you.
I feel like we should go across, and then whenever we get to here, we'll just go back and stick them on top. If we have to. Highly recommended. Great fantasy. Amazing book. Amazing book. Next up, we have The Test, which is probably the longest book that we read It's like a notebook.
It is literally shorter than the Brandon Sanderson short story.
Wow. It's a great book too.
It's really good.
This is really good.
It's not as epic as his other series, the Themis Files, but it's completely different. This is set in
close future.
Yeah, this is set in the close future in England.
Not so distant. That's a better way to put it.
And this guy is taking the citizenship test to become a citizen of Great Britain, and you go through this crazy story. It literally, what did it remind us of?
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, like to a T. They can absolutely make a Black Mirror episode from this, and they should, because it would be awesome. I don't really have much to say. Like, even though it was such a short book, it had some awesome character. What's wrong?
Character development. I don't get, like, it's like the simplest words that you stumble. It's character.
Yeah. I don't feel like they needed to give you much world building for this story, but it still had some. I just thought it was pretty good.
I think it takes place for the most part between 2 points of views, and it jumps between the two. So it's good. It's just, we can't really, it's such a short book that there really isn't much that we could say about it without spoiling anything about it. So
it's pretty unique.
The premise sounds really boring, somebody taking a citizenship test, but trust us, it's a short read, and it's just one of those things that
it has an impact for being such a short book.
You should definitely check it out. It's definitely I think a must read, especially since it's so short. It's just like
if you like Black Mirror or Twilight Zone, you'll definitely enjoy it.
I don't really like Twilight Zone, but I like Black Mirror, so there's that.
You haven't seen much of Twilight Zone, though.
Yeah, but it's old.
So what? It's still good.
Not a big... Really, when was the last time you watched it?
I don't know, it's probably a teenager.
40 years ago.
What are you rating it, Mr. Kivox?
I am going to rate it...
You're supposed to say Mr. Kivox is my father.
I'm going to rate it... Should I do a 5? It's so close. I don't see anything wrong with the book.
Yeah, but it's just like overall impact.
No, that's not how I rate things. I rate things by overall, like, the successes of the book. The characters are good. The story was good. There was no fluff, any extra dumb stuff in there that I didn't care about. It was pretty much, everything was there. No filler. I think it was a perfect book.
All right. I gave it... Mine is like super crooked. A 4. I thought it was really good.
Well, what was wrong with it?
There's some disturbing stuff in it that just kind of like anxiety.
I thought the anxiety part was great, and that's what made it like better.
Then
because that was the whole point of the story. The story was supposed to make you feel like that. It wasn't like, let's say something like, I don't have anything here. Something that I could think of. Oh, Shadow of the Fox. That book tried to make you feel things, but it didn't succeed.
And yeah, to you. I loved that book.
You just loved it because it reminded you of an anime. It wasn't, in my opinion, that's not a good reason to make something.
So we rate things differently.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I was just trying to figure out what your issue with that book was. Why you wouldn't give it a 5.
Okay.
And you can't give me an answer.
I did. I don't like the anxiety.
You just said you don't like it.
Do.
I don't like it because I don't like it.
It gave me too much like while reading it.
Next up, I read
My
Plain Jane. I read this like right at the beginning of the month. Like,
so you're using this as your sequel. It's not technically
it's a sequel. Shut up. Don't tell him. It's a sequel.
It's like Lady Janie's number 2.
It's the second book in their things. I loved this book.
Really?
Just like I loved the first one.
I want to read it now.
They were both great books. They're excellent writers. The narrator for the audiobook was just as good.
Okay.
Yeah, she was
now I want to read this.
She was just as good as the last one. The narrator in the last one was great. I couldn't even tell that it wasn't the same person. Maybe if I listened to both of them together, I would be able to tell, but like I couldn't even tell. Also, I really want you to read it. I just got goosebumps.
Oh my god.
I just got goosebumps. Because like there's a part in it where I was just like, that's great. It has to do with ghosts, and it's really cool.
It's based on Jane Eyre.
It's based on no. It's based on Jen Eyre.
Even like the last book was based on historical events, which they completely ripped apart and just like made their own story. But I just think like based on the last book, they were such good writers and it was just so well done.
I'm going to give it a 4.5.
So you had a good month.
I did. I would almost give it a 5, but I feel like the only reason that I would give it a 5 is because of this book here. I will explain to you.
What?
I can't explain it to you without spoiling something.
Oh, okay.
So, but I almost, it's almost a 5. It's like right on the verge. There are a few little things that I didn't love about it, like certain characters I thought were not like that well developed, so it was like there's that little bit, but most of them were great. The story was fun. It was just like the last one. What was the last one called?
My Lady Jane.
My Lady Jane. It was just like that, where it wasn't like the end of the world, it was just like a fun story. Same concept. It's just a fun story.
You have to go into these realizing that they're ripping apart the originals. They're making it a comedy essentially, and they're just like making it a fun time. Oh
man, yeah, this would make great movies. Like they really would. And
yeah.
they seem like they're short enough where they can just make a full movie out of each of them, and that would be really good. Or even a TV show would be great. And then like a sequel in the next one, or like a whole season is one book, and then the next season would be another book with maybe the same actors, kind of like what's it called? American Horror Story style.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. But anyway, it's a really good book if you just looking for like a fun, kind of like not scary ghost story. That's the thing. It's not a horror ghost story at all. Not whatsoever. No sort of scariness at all. So, fun.
All right.
It's hot in here.
No, it's fine.
I didn't read this one.
There is no audiobook for this. So this book.
Is this the one?
I had a love-hate relationship with this book. Also, this is not the one.
Oh my goodness.
I really loved the writing style that this author brought. It's East of the Sun, West of the Moon, something or other retelling. It's basically a Beauty and the Beast retelling, so I'm guessing Beauty and the Beast is based off of that story as well. The story itself was great in concept. The beginning was really, really, really well done and well written. The ending was awesome. The middle was effing boring. And we read this as the book club book of the month for April. We do like a separate book club. I mean, like what do they call it? Buddy read on Discord. If you're part of our patron group, you can join that. But yeah, it was just, the middle was so nonsensical, and I hate that kind of magic. I think it's like magical realism. Like, I don't like magical realism, apparently.
I don't know what this term is. Can you please explain?
I don't even know. It's almost like paints a realistic view of the modern world while also adding magical elements. So it's almost like Harry Potter would be magical realism, I guess, but it's like done way better. Like, I don't like this type of magical realism.
So basically, you're just telling me that it's magic in the real world. Why didn't you say that?
The middle of this book has a ton of nonsensical magic, which drove me crazy. Like, I cannot stand just nonsense. Like, literally, things not making sense. I've said this now 10 times.
Can you give me an example of what nonsensical magic is?
Like
nonsense magic. Like I make a toilet appear in the living room. Like, is that a nonsense magic?
Kind of. It's like this house that she's in morphs and changes, and it doesn't tell you why or how, and it's just got some strange magic that doesn't make any sense. And the house itself doesn't make sense. I can't really say anything without spoiling it because it's right in the middle of the book, but it's just, I couldn't stand that type of magic, and it was just like, this happens, but why and how, who knows? Like,
Harry Potter.
I don't know. It was really boring in the middle. I felt like it was kind of redundant in the middle, but the ending was effing good, and the beginning was good. So, like, it's so hard to rate a book like that. This is an overall
book, overall reading. How do you feel?
I know.
Let's vote. Based on what you just said, I would imagine you were going to give it a 2.
Really? I ended up giving it a 3.5.
That's not 3.5. That's not 3.5.
What is it?
Look, 3.5 is right here.
Here.
No. These are 3.5.
Oh.
Nick, line it up. What are you doing? You're not lined up. Line up with the top of this and the bottom of it. I see. All your things are crooked.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay, I'll put it on there for you. Oh no, this is my board.
We've
I
done that
fooled
before.
you.
So, I just think the writing style and the character development was good enough where, it made such a good story in the end, but I just wish that the middle was written differently, and I wish they would take out that whole ridiculous magic in the middle. But yeah. Then I read We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix.
Yeah!
I don't remember which class this was for, but it was the Sprayed Edges one that I chose. It is definitely not as good as My Best Friend's Exorcism, which is sad to say.
But your best friend's exorcism. I mean, my best friend's exorcism. But your best. Anyway, that one you gave it like a 5. So like that's not saying much.
Yeah.
It's like it's not as
but
good
I
as
just felt like My Best Friend's Exorcism put like this bar, and it was like it had such amazing like nostalgic factors, and this would too, I guess. But I wasn't into the heavy metal bands that this book references, so I think that's why it made it a little harder. I was more into the things from that book
because it was like 80s, right? Like
so
90s
is
and
this,
stuff.
Basically, but
that was more like, was it more nerdy stuff?
I believe so, and just like the Exorcist movie, basically.
Like,
so it was more ghost themed. This was more like devil and hell, like it was both. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. If we knew, then you wouldn't have to tell us the word.
They were both based on kind of like supernatural things.
Let's figure out the word.
Supernatural was what I was looking for.
That was the word you were looking for?
So they're both based on supernatural elements, but this was more based on like darker, grittier things, and that one was more like, I guess exorcisms are dark and gritty, but I'm just so used to them now from movies. It's just a totally different feel. In this book, you're following a woman who's grown up, and back in the day, her band used to be really big, and she decides that she's going to try to get this band back together again. As she goes and meets with different people, she finds that what happened in the past, she really didn't even know what happened in the past, and she's now piecing things together. Like I said, there was still good character development. There was still, a decent world that it built, but it just did not give me the nostalgia factor that the other one did, which that's what made that book so great, was like the character interactions. This book is essentially based on one sole character, like, and the other one is about friendship, and it was a totally different dynamic, and I just was expecting more, I think. It was still decent, if it sounds like you would like it. If you're into, like, 80s hardcore, like, metal bands, you'd like it. What are you doing?
Why are you so warm?
I don't know.
Your skin is like lava. Did you want to rate it?
Yeah.
Oh. Meekachii, rate the book that you just read. Rate it. Put it on the board.
Oh, no. So I gave it...
Ooh, you hated it that much.
A 3. It was
That's
nowhere
not a 3.
near... Yes, it is.
Yeah, but look how crooked you put everything. Why don't you, like, not put it mad crooked?
It was,
All of your books are, like, slanted this way.
Maybe it's the way you hold the board.
Maybe... No, it doesn't make any sense. If I put it this way, I would still stick it the right way.
So yeah, I just didn't overly connect with any of the characters, but I can appreciate that it's still a well-written book, and, it might be for someone, but I just don't think it was overly for me. This one was...
Sent.
Well, yeah, but it was my,
Plant?
sequel
book.
My Plant was Elantris ones.
We had like 3 plant books.
I know. I had an easy time.
And I had
picking
no
from
plants.
So I essentially, all right, I started another book, and that's the one that I really didn't like. And I was struggling through it, and I couldn't finish it, and it was putting me in a really bad reading slump, and I had to finish this Readathon. So what I usually do when I'm in reading slumps is I pick up a romance, because they're super quick and easy to read.
And they're terrible.
They're not terrible. So I got sent this book. It's called Say No to the Duke by Eloisa James.
Just the name sounds amazing. Like, I totally want to read that.
This one comes out in July. This is an ARC copy. I just randomly got it in the mail a couple weeks ago, and I've just picked it off my shelf, and I was like, I need something super fluffy and easy to read. And it was a cute romance. It was like nothing overly great, nothing terrible. It was written pretty well, and it's kind of, there's not much to say about it. It's about a girl she lives in a family that's pretty good standing, and she is getting proposed to left and right. This is set, back in the 1700s, I think.
Jeez.
I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was the 1700s. And she's getting proposed to left and right, and she's about to say yes to a duke, but then this guy of slightly less status starts, getting on her radar, and the whole, not really a love triangle, because there really wasn't, but...
And then they kiss.
Yeah, this had a lot of, essentially, back in the day, it was scandalous to, even look at wrists and
Well, first
ankles.
of all, look at her outfit. That is very revealing. There's way too much there.
Well, they always had, their boobs hanging out back in the day, but they didn't really show, any other body part, which was weird.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. Are you done?
Yeah, I don't really have much to say. It's just a fluffy, easy read romance that kind of got me out of my reading slump. But then I had to finish my other book, and then I got put right back into that slump. So I think this is also a 3. Is that better? Not really.
Whatever.
You want to talk about your book?
I'll talk about my book.
This one we used for your animal book.
Because of the bat symbol.
Yeah.
So this is called Nightwalker. Batman Nightwalker. It should be called...
Boring Walker.
No, Bruce Wayne Nightwalker, because there's no Batman in this whole book. Spoilers.
I think these are all like that.
It's not a Batman book, and it's not even really a Batman prequel book.
Huh.
This was supposed to be the prequel, by the way. Can you double up?
What?
Can you double up the books? Like can this be my animal and my sequel?
You don't need a sequel, I think, for your next one.
I needed a prequel, though.
Yeah.
Could this have been both?
I guess.
All right, anyway, this was supposed to be the prequel. Or not the prequel.
Sequel.
Origin story.
Oh.
That's what this was. But anyway, it was not a good book. I did not like it. It was very, very predictable, super tropey. But now if we look at it as like a Bruce Wayne, looking at Bruce Wayne or looking at Batman, Bruce Wayne wasn't Bruce Wayne in this. He wasn't in any way any sort of traditional Bruce Wayne or even Batman. I don't see how the character that is played in this becomes Batman, because he's not skilled at all. He doesn't ever seem very intelligent like Batman. Batman's supposed to be the world's best detective, the world's smartest detective, and he's not very smart at all. He gets duped. Is that the right word? Duped. That's what I said originally. All the time, and he's just a dumb teenage 18-year-old. He just turns 18 in this.
But he's supposed to be smart even when he's younger.
Yeah, no, he's supposed to be the world's best detective. But anyway, he never actually becomes Batman in it. Not even at the end. He kind of puts on some suit and
That's how the Wonder Woman is too. It tells a story about her going out into the world, leaving Themyscira, but at the same time though, they do give quite a bit of her backstory. So I liked it. Even though she never even becomes Wonder Woman
other
at the
book,
end.
not this one.
But she uses some of her outfit pieces.
Yeah, he has some gear that he gets, but it's not even close to it doesn't feel like Batman. They basically just took scene, not scenes, but places from the Batman universe. Arkham, that type of thing. Yeah, but and some of the characters, it's not a read for me. If you're a Batman fan, it's not a good Batman book. If you're just a detective fan, it's not a good book. If you're interested in it at all, I would say don't read it. It's not good. It's just not good. And anyway, story's super predictable. I just want to tell you guys everything that happens because I pretty much predicted it at the beginning. So I was just this is great. I had the hardest time reading this. This was the first one I started and the last one I finished, basically. And it just it sucked. It wasn't good. Give me that sticker.
Let me guess. You're going to rate it a 1? Or is it going to... It wasn't a DNF.
It was not a DNF.
You would have probably made it a DNF.
It's a 1.
My last book.
Unless you run out of every other book in the world and you've read everything else, then go ahead and read that.
My last book that I finished, Roses and Rot by Kat Howard.
All right, first problem that I have is why is this cover cut off like this? Is this a
Arc?
arc? No, don't do that. Just want to rip this cover off.
You can hold it for me. Thanks. This book was terrible.
Nice. We're finishing this one off strong.
Yeah, I would have DNF'd this in a heartbeat.
I had like 3 really good books and then like 1 terrible one.
I would have DNF'd it if it wasn't for the Readathon, and I had to read it for whatever reason.
Me too. I would have not finished Batman.
I think I needed one that began with an R.
I would have not finished Batman as well if it wasn't for the Readathon thing.
I feel like this was not well written. It almost had that old school style of writing where it was like blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and I hate that type of writing. It drives me crazy. Like when you're just spewing a bunch of words and you don't stop your freaking sentences and then you just keep adding and in between everything for no reason. Like, I can't stand it. The characters, they sucked. The development was not there. I didn't care about any of the characters. The romance was ridiculous. It was so awkward, and it was just like she's telling us that she had all these feelings for these characters, but it never made you feel that. And it was like, oh, I have a crush on this guy and he's gonna come over and we're gonna have sex and I love him so much, and like, but I didn't feel any of that stuff at all. Like, I could care less about this character. He sucked. Like, why do you like him? It was so badly written, in my opinion. And I don't say that about a lot of books. I just don't like the way it was written at all. And the story was just a generic fairy story, like, but it wasn't good.
Let me guess. You're going to give it a 1.
Yep.
Line it up here. I'll... Is it good?
I don't know.
1. Is this your first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both got our first ones this month. Sweet.
That is it.
What are we doing next?
We're going to film our TBR next.
Sweet.
And talk about the book club picks.
Sweet.
And the buddy read pick.
Sweet. In the next few days, you should be getting the TBR for our next whatever. So stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video. Let us know your how you did on this Owls Readathon down below. See, like, I want to see what everybody succeeded. I'm a mazzoologist now. I'm no longer a wand maker. So all the wand videos, none of them are coming out anymore. I'm done. Officially, just kidding. I'm not actually done. Don't worry. Chillax.
I'm still a healer.
Yeah, who cares? Whenever I'm dying, you don't heal me at all.
Yes, I healed your headache.
I go, Meek, I don't feel good at all, and you're like
throwing pills at him.
No, you're not. You'll be like
I'm like, you're fine.
You're on your phone or flipping through a book. Okay.
He's a baby.
I'm not a baby. I get sick like once a year. It doesn't happen often, and then whenever I do, you don't care about me.
I thought you were being dramatic.
I was not being dramatic. I was dying, and you're like, you're not dying. I'm like, how do you know how I feel? And then I was like, I'm dying, and then I died, and then you had to resuscitate me.
He did. I feel bad now because he was telling the truth.
I'm always telling the truth. When do I ever lie about being sick? I don't. Man.
Okay.
Thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave a comment down below like I asked. And
let us know if you read any of these books and if you liked them and if you think I'm completely off base.
And if you like Batman, just avoid that book, please. There's probably another good Batman book out there. Just this one's not good.
The end.
Say bye, Meek.
Bye, Meek.
Bye, bye, bye.